Well, it's 25 minutes gone past the hour of 10 o'clock. Again, good morning to you, Grenada, Caribbean, Martinique, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, to you wherever you are. I'm back with you, your boy JC, on a Wednesday. And certainly, we're here for a very, 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 very special reason. We have two gentlemen in the studio with me. I'm Kamran Sincere and Kwesi Pope. And we're here as part of plans by the Ministry of Youth Development as it relates to National Youth Parliament, giving our young people a voice, giving them the opportunity not just to have a voice, but to determine who they want to represent them. And very often the challenges that we get our young people involved, but we as the adults, we pick the scenarios for them, and then we want them to make decisions. And today, Kamran and Kwesi's here, and they're saying, no more shall it be that way. We want to be a chance. We want to be the ones that dictate the next 30, 40 years. They need old people like myself to take a sidestep and let them run the ship. Is that what you're saying, Kamran? Or partially?
Partially.
Partially.
Yeah, partially.
What about you, Kwesi?
I say that everyone has a seat at the table, young as well as old, because we, the young people, we have the drive, we have the energy, we have the vision, but the elderly people, they have the experience that we will need to bring those visions and dreams into a reality.
Before we get into the dreams and vision, just tell me a bit of yourself, Kamran.
Well, I'm from Ladigue, St. Andrew. That's a very rural community in St. Andrew. Attended the Holy Innocent Primary School, St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary, and now I'm a student at the TMRHU Community College.
It's interesting you said your community is very rural.
Yeah.
How rural is very rural?
Very rural in terms of persons, when they go to my community, they will say it's behind God back. As they will say.
Well, these are people with special talent. They've actually found God in person to know where his back is.
Right.
Okay. What about you, Kwesi?
Okay, well, my name is Kwesi Pope. I'm from Reedy, Mount Parnassus. I went to the St. George's Anglican School. After that, I went to the Presentation Brothers College, the Prime Minister Factory of Grenada, then the TMRHU Community College, and of course, St. George's University.
Kwesi, did somebody send you here for me today? And I get the sense you looked at me deep and you made that statement. I wouldn't even, what we've been taught as old GSS boys, that there's some things you don't even give a response to. You don't allow them, Kamran, to bait you into those kind of things.
Yeah.
And I think as young people, we probably be a good way, because very often you hear the conversation about peer pressure, and then just a segue. Is it real? Is peer pressure real, Kwesi? You guys feel as young people that you have a million things out there that you've been bombarded with from many sides?
Okay, to answer that, peer pressure does exist. But remember, there is a positive side and a negative side. So, for example, if I have a friend who wants to start a small business, but he seems to be lackadaisical, he's dragging his foot. Myself and his other friends, we could put pressure and say, listen, you can't do this. We will support you, go the extra mile with you. And that young man, my friend, could say, okay, my friends are pressuring me now to get this job done because they have faith in me. I will therefore go the extra mile and bring this business into reality. That is positive. Something negative is, for example, okay, you and your friends hanging out. They might see a house there and they might say, boy, let me go and break open that place and see what they know. And you say, no, stealing wrong. I want to. But say, boy, you cowardly, you're tanty man. You might be pressured to say, okay, I want my friends to see me in this bad light, so let me go ahead and go in that neighbor's house and steal from them. So there's a positive side and a negative side to peer pressure.
Yeah. Kamran, where do you draw the balance? Because very often, I'm of the school of thought that peer pressure is not the problem. Whether it be negative or positive, that's not the problem in life. The concern resides within the values that one has been inculcated with. Did you share the same school of thought?
Yes, absolutely. Now, I grew up in the rural community, as I said, and that is why I highlighted it, because peer pressure is more rampant in rural areas and rural communities. Now, majority of my friends were those youths that were termed bad, and they are extremely talented. and they grow up in households that are very neat, that are very wholesome, and they teach them very good values. But because they are not taught these values right up, so at a certain point, probably when we reach primary school, we slow down. With secondary school, we hardly teach our children any values, but it's a continuous process. And that is why they forget and they fall for the influence of their friends, etc. Because I watch that playing out in my eyes. There are youths who I grew up with, even today I call them friends, that they could have been sitting where I am sitting, but because of their friends and whoever influence them negatively. And as Kwesi said, there are positive influences aside to peer pressure, but sometimes and most we will see they fall into the negative side because it's more stronger.
So that would you in any way suggest that that's a parenting failure? Is that a failure of the parent or failure of the child?
One can say it's both, because I know parents who really try. They really try. And these youths, their parents try and they tirelessly try to get them on the right track. But then when they meet friends and they develop such an attachment to friends that anything their friend says, they believe it and they will do it. On the other hand, some youths, because of what their parents teach them, and even me, because as I said, I grew up around youths that are considered bad, but I know to myself that I will not go and rob someone, because I know deep down that is not what my parents grew me up to be, and that is not what I want for myself. So yeah.
As a young person, Kwesi, yes, your parents, they are there to guide you. But what more so, as a young person, do you extrapolate, do you take most from your parents in terms of being role models? What is it, what they ask you to do, or is it what they do themselves?
Okay. For the most part, it will be the modeling of the behavior. So, for example, my parents, they are more initiative takers. So, growing up in that environment, seeing my parents being initiative takers, I have also modeled that behavior, and so far it has served me well in life. Where you don't really wait for the higher ups to ask you to do something. When you see that there is something to be done, you do it. You do the necessary pre-planning, planning, and you execute it. Because the truth is, not all the time in life there will be somebody around to give you direction. You must use your own initiative, your own intelligence, observe, see what has to be done, and do it.
But seriously, Kwesi, I'm 16, I'm 18. I'm just here to enjoy my life. Why did you want me to force myself into taking up responsibilities that is reserved for adults?
Okay, well, in answering the question, remember, more modeling, because modeling is very powerful. Because a theory, yes, you hear theories, but you need a realistic example so that you could imitate and copy it.
Right.
If you understand what I'm saying right there.
Okay. So while on the conversation, Kamran, of imitating and modeling, I certainly the overarching conversation has to do that we're getting ready for the set up the National Youth Parliament, and you guys have the opportunity to decide to what as values, what do you see as the more predominant values that is needed by one in terms of being in a leadership position that you are hoping that you can find individuals out there to represent those values. Talk to me about some of those values.
Yeah. Now, one of the main important things that I think persons in leadership should definitely have is empathy and understanding persons' situations.
Right.
We can't just see someone, judge them, and have a view and just go along our business. We need to understand them. And I believe that's the only way we can make a difference in person's life. We need to have empathy, and that is things that I learned from my parents. They see someone and they don't see anything else but a human being, someone like them, and they understand how, what are they doing to survive, why they are doing it. And that is why I think the youth parliament is an extremely important role, because the general election, normally they don't focus so specifically on your youths. We brand them, we bracket them, we characterize them. But if we listen to them, like how I am doing and how I grew up with youths that are considered bad, there are no such thing as a bad youth. All youth have talent. It's just that we don't listen, we don't take the time to understand. And that is a message I want any parent or parents that are listening to listen. Your youth, your child, your children, they are not bad. They just need persons to listen to them, understand them and guide them along the way.
But why should I listen to you, Kwesi? From birth, I've told you, don't. You decided now, for whatever reason, to go off on a tangent. Well, obviously, you're going to get a heavy roller. Why do I need to listen to you? And as a child, you're supposed to be listened. Your job is to be listening, not me listening to you. Do you subscribe to that school of thought?
Well, based upon how I was raised, all right, I have always had that healthy relationship with my parents where I could talk to them. So it is essential if you want to raise a child who will be able to make a positive contribution to society in order to make sure that they have healthy relationships. You as a parent must have that healthy relationship where your child feels comfortable to discuss things with you, to say, hey, mom, dad, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about doing this, you know? And you say, okay, son, let's sit down and let's work things out together, because that's how families work. That is how society works. Society is a contract, a social contract, where every one of us, we are stakeholders in this beautiful country that we call Grenada. So if we get that right in our homes, our society will reach far, because the greatest asset a country has is its people, and the fundamental unit of society are the homes, are the families. So when we have this healthy understanding between parents and their children, Mr. Cadore, we will reach far. And children will reach far. And overall, Grenada will attain greatness.
That aspiration of which you speak, is that something that comes by default when your child gets to 18, 19, 20? Or is that something that has to be inculcated, Kwesi, throughout the child's life?
Definitely the latter. As you start small, and then when they grow up, because that's how things just don't happen immediately. It takes time. There's a process. So by the time they reach the 18, the 19, and the 20, you guys are still close. You're still tight.
And just to add with what Kwesi said, a lot of the parents, the friends that I had, that I speak to them, and they ask me, what did your parents do different? I said that my father and my mother, my father is a Rasta, they sit down, they listen to me, and they teach me things. So they don't hide things from me, so that when I get out there and I experience it for myself, I may think to give up, I may think to fall victim to it. They expose it to me at an early age and tell me about it. And that is one of the things that I'm grateful for my parents for sitting me down. And as Kwesi said, if I have a problem, I tell them about it, we talk it out. And my father is so much on, as you know, Rastafarians, they love to concentrate, they love to teach lessons. Every day my father teach me a lesson, up to this day. And that is one thing I'm extremely grateful for.
Let's look at society, the modern construct. Quite different from what, of course, your parents knew when they were growing up. Now, years ago, we grew up in a period where there was the laws, absoluteness. So we knew certain things, what was right, what was wrong. We grew up in a period now where everything seems relative. How as young people, do you adapt to these variances as it comes to variances in lifestyle, what is accepted now as those lifestyle behavior and all of that? I get the sense that you come from families with very strong, firm beliefs. And I will start with you, Kwesi. How do you, as a young person, how do you deal with this? You come from a household where you thought you're given very strict Christian values, and now you're growing up in a society, taking leadership position in a world where everything seems to have gone ad hoc, where everybody does that seems good in their eyes, and not necessarily in those values that you know. How do you deal with those?
Oh, well, that's something that's very simple, because you see, growing up, you learn, of course, that not everyone in society will think the same as you, are not everyone even have the same beliefs, because Christianity isn't the only religion. We have Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, we have Rastafarianism. So, of course, growing up, you understand that not everyone will agree with you, not everyone will think the same way as you. But the thing is, you as a person, you could hold on to your beliefs, but you can also still talk to people and have normal relationships with people who may even think differently from you,
And you say think differently in the context of, let's say, the family structure. We grew up traditionally where we accepted the family structure as we male and female. And as young leaders try to assume your place now, you're now in a society where there are young persons who will tell you, oh, I'm at variance with that. The family structure has evolved where it could be male, female and female. How would you deal with those pressures, if ever at all it is pressures for you, Kamran?
Well, first of all, as I said, when I see someone, I see a human being. That is what I see. So, as Kwesi said, we will learn that there are differences, but that don't mean we have to compromise our own values.
That's right.
We can understand, we can communicate with them, we can work along with them. That don't mean we have to disown our beliefs or our religion, and that is how the world's supposed to be. We cooperate. At the end of the day, if we don't cooperate, we will not be able to move forward. We will not be able to get the results that we want. So you need to see persons as a human, just as you, doing what they could to make it. And once you don't compromise your values or you're not pressured or forced, then everything will be.
Well, I was just about to get to that, because very often what tends to happen more so in persons that have these varied views, they tend to want to impose their will on you, Kwesi. And they now determine that their point of reasoning should be the predominant one. How, as young leaders, do you see yourself striking the balance and maintaining that which you know to be right? Objectively, what is right?
Okay, good question, Mr. Cotto. Very good question. Okay, so as I said before, I have my beliefs. People also have their beliefs. I wouldn't compromise my beliefs. If you want to find out about what I believe in and so on, we could have that conversation. But I wouldn't compromise my belief, and I definitely wouldn't let anyone try to force their very thing onto me. If you want to say, okay, we could talk about it, we could have a conversation about this and so on, but you wouldn't try to force your varied beliefs on me. As my worthy colleague would have said, we are human beings. We live in a society. We could try to understand each other, but you wouldn't be forcing your varied belief onto me. Okay? We could work together. We are citizens of a state. We want our nation to grow. We have potential. We have human capital. We want to grow it. We want to expand the horizons for our people. Let's do that. Okay?
Talking about growth, our country expanding, you said potential. I mean, as young people, what is it do you see as the future for Grenada? Kamran?
I see a future where we prosper, where we develop, but we can only do that, coming back to the cultural and everything, where we understand that the world is changing. And unless we do not change certain things, including our policies, our laws, we will not meet that moment. So now is the time, and that is why I'm grateful for the National Youth Parliament program, where everyone is given an opportunity to shape the Grenada that we want to see. And if we work together, if we hold hand in hands, we will create a Grenada that is way better off and nothing that the world has ever seen.
What are some of those policies that you would like to see change as a young person?
Well, policies that I would like to see change as a young person is such as, well, thankfully the government initiated the free tuition thing. That is a policy that I had a problem with. And also, going back to the school curriculum, is where we introduce skills training and vocational training. Because as I said, the world is changing. Not everyone is good in maths, English, law, whatever. There are persons who are mechanics, our technicians, or electricians. We need to incorporate these skills so that everyone can be productive members of society and prosper, and thereby Grenada will prosper as well.
Kwesi?
Well, my colleague would have highlighted some. For me, because based upon going out in the communities and talking to people, there is a concern with people, they are farming on lands and so on that they don't own, and when they have the produce, they're trying to sell it. it's difficult because you don't have a farmer's ID. So, so they have to sell their produce at black market prices and people are taking advantage of them. I really want to see a policy that would help these young farmers because agriculture is an essential sector for any country, not just our country, because strategically it makes sense that Grenada has a robust agricultural sector. It just does make sense. And when you have these farmers who don't have ownership of their lands, that is a huge problem to the sector, and especially for young farmers, because that could impact not just employment, but also our food security. And Mr. Cadore, you know as well as I, the effect that climate change is having on food security for small island developing states. So we need to change these policies, empower our young people, especially our young farmers, so that in the long term, our food security will be better, our agricultural sector would be better, and of course, overall, our Grenada's economy will be better and stronger.
Are young people interested in getting involved in agriculture? Kamran, you really want to get your hands dirty?
No, and that is one issue that I really wanted to speak on. Me personally, it's not that I hate agriculture, but I believe my calling is in law. But Grenada's agricultural sector is down part in one that young persons do not want to get involved because of the historical stereotypes. Agriculture is dirty, is for poor, etc. We need to, for lack of a better word, beautify agriculture. Introduce it early into the school system so that young persons can learn about it and see agriculture. And agriculture, Mr. Cadore, must be about getting involved in mud. We can involve technology into agriculture and make it more easier and more simple. Also, going back to policy for 1 minute, a policy that I would like to see change or even implemented better is to do with disabled persons. Now, disabled persons, our society is not given the adequate attention that they need. Sometimes we forget them. So we need to pay more attention. And many of our youths, they have certain disabilities and they are left behind. And I must point out Zinzi Noel from St. Patrick. I admire her. And she motivates me because she gets involved in all these things, even despite her circumstances. And I think that we need more policies to advance people like this.
Let's shift a bit while we're still on it. We touched on it a bit. The education system. It is one that is primarily geared towards individuals that are academically inclined. I mean, you touched on that. I know you have those concerns. I mean, but if you get a chance, you talked about those other fields. But what would you want if you get the opportunity and you were Prime Minister for the day? Yeah? Tell me what 5 major policy changes you would make that would satisfy the direction that Grenada needs to go.
Well,
or maybe 3, maybe 5 miles. Yeah, 5 miles.
Well, first, starting with agriculture, we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to get agriculture in the school system at an early stage. 2, with the disabled persons as well. We need to give these persons more attention. And 3, I would say, involving youth in a lot of decision making. So decisions that are made, as you said, sometimes we make decisions and we just expect persons to go along with it. And often decisions that directly affect the youths. We need to see more youths involved. So whatever board, whoever is making decisions, I will ensure to include at least 1 or more youths to get the youth perspective, consult with the youth, talk with the youth, communicate with them back and forth. They give recommendations, and that is the only way youth representation and youth voices can be heard in Grenada, and that is actually one of my aims of my campaign. That is the reason why I'm doing all this, is to shine a light on the youths. They are often, especially in St. Andrews Southwest, they are very talented youths, but they are often forgotten, abandoned, and that is why I want to give them a voice and include them in things that affect them.
What sort of programs do you think is needed within your community that would aid directly in assisting young persons in your area that seems to be going off on a tangent?
Right, so we need persons to go around and listen to the youth, as I said. Listen to them, get their feedback. We can have town hall, we can have small little community meetings to hear the youths, to understand them, to listen what they want. Also, we can set up, because a lot of persons said that they have projects, community projects in mind, but they do not have the funds. So we can set up grant programs where they can partner with businesses, government to establish these things. Also, employment, again, leading back to that. There are a lot of unemployed youths in my constituency. And sometimes when I campaign and I go up to them and I sit on the block with them, they just plain out tell me that they want a work. They don't care what work it is, they will get it, they will take it. So that is one of the issues they are facing. Also, youth representation, a whole in my constituency. As I said, there needs to be a voice for the youth. They are abandoned, they are feeling neglected, and they just want to see something being done. They don't want to, yes, they will communicate with you, they will speak with you, but when I approach them, they are tired with the talking. They want to see things done. Yeah.
Technology is, of course, certainly, there's the disparity between the adults and you young people. Is how you, in terms of how you engage technology. Adults tend to be more hesitant, they tend to be more reserved, whereas you young people, you embrace technology hands-on. If you get a chance, Kwesi, how would you deal with that void, that variance of opinions and thoughts between adults and young people when it comes to embracing technology? Because it is what it is.
Of course.
It's not going anywhere.
Of course. Okay, well, first of all, you must start off with understanding. Many adults, those who are employed, they deal with technology at work. You have to get them to understand, okay, just as how your computer is a tool for you in the office, as my colleague would have said, farmers could even use tools. You could even use drones to water, but you get them to see technology as a helper, as a helpmeet. So you get them to understand it. Then you get them to become more familiar with it. You could even, if some of them have children, they can sit down with the child. That goes back to what I said earlier about having a nice understanding, and the child could reintroduce them to the use of technology.
Very often, the children, you guys you don't have patience. You don't have patience to deal with that when it comes to technology and adults. There's always just seem to be that constant pushing on either side.
Yes, but remember, it's a whole of society approach. Remember homes. Remember the basic units of society: the home, the community, the country. Break it down into three. So if we take a holistic approach at all three levels, children could help their parents, and of course the government has a role to play. The government, NGOs, special support groups, to get the adult population into technology, because as you said, it is the future. And when people see the advantages of technology, that it could put more money in their pockets, it can make their jobs easier, it could help save their lives, I believe that would be effective in bringing the more adult population into the fold of appreciating technology. We might not get everyone, and we must be honest, you must be truthful. You might not get everyone, but definitely you'll get the majority to come on board with you.
When politicians get into office, we normally measure them, we start measuring them based on what they do and achieve in the first 100 days. Let's assume you guys get the opportunity to be part of this youth parliament. What would be some of the major changes of things you would look to address, Kamran, in your first 100 days as a youth parliamentarian?
So as I said, one, employment opportunities. I will advocate for work with anybody, literally anybody who want to provide and partner with me or whomever to provide employment opportunities to the youths of St. Andrew Southwest. Also agriculture. A lot of the youths are into agriculture, but because they don't have the tools, they don't have the support, they don't get into it. And I will advocate, partner to ensure that they get the tools, the necessary resources and support to ensure that they thrive in agriculture.
But then those that's going to say, listen, this is just sweet talk. He's following the route of all the traditional politicians. He's just another young lawyer that is sugarcoating us to get where he's going. What would your response then be?
My response to them would be that I did not grow up in a typical family. I grew up in a family where I see my parents, they don't talk, they do things. And that is what I want to do. And that is what I've been saying for years. Literally, I've been saying, why do we talk so much when we have the resources and not do? Because persons are waiting and they wait for years and still we go back to them to get votes, etc. But we need to do something. And when I tell them that, they usually come on board with me because they realize that I actually want to do and not just talk.
Is that fail, Kwesi, as we wrap? Has that been your mind, being a failure of our current flock of leaders? We talk. Everything is a talk shop event, and not much action is taken.
Well, what I could tell you, speaking about myself, I don't intend to be a talk-only person. And regarding the kind of leader I want to be an effective and functional leader. So let me just tell you what I would do within the first 100 days. Firstly, I want to establish a strategic initiative committee for St. George Northeast. Now, with that in mind, we'll be focusing on 4 main areas. Support for mental health for youth entrepreneurship opportunities, aid for you going in agribusiness, and youth empowerment. And just like my colleague, I will plan to work with government, ministries, NGOs, anyone who wants to come aboard to make sure that the youth of St. George Northeast, they are ready in their mind as well as their bodies, and you'll have the tools, you'll have the funding, everything to help to improve themselves and to empower themselves.
Well, Grenada, 5 minutes on to the hour of 11 o'clock. Kwesi Pope, Kamran sincere, and they're putting themselves out there for election, for a youth election, part of the youth parliament. Gentlemen, I wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
I really hope that your quest to become active change agents is realized and embraced, and it's a stepping stone that allows you, not just for now, but maybe 20 years down the line, because you would agree that change starts today. It may translate itself into something as 20 years down the line, but it starts today. Folks, this is where we leave the conversation. We continue with you on television. We should be expecting the team from inside of the Wyman's house. Manager JC loves you. The luncheon edition comes up not at the top of the hour, that's at 12 o'clock, and it's a production of our News and Current Affairs Department. While we added, though, I did remind you of the foreign schedule that has been set out that you need to be aware of. Again, also reminded you that this weekend, Montgomery's Breakfast comes alive. You want to be part of that conversation. And as a public notice in observance of the passing of former Governor General Sir Daniel Williams, the public is informed of the following. 1. The national flag will continue to fly at half-mast at all government buildings and other establishments in Grenada until sunset on the day of the funeral of Sir Daniel Williams. The period of mourning will be observed from today, 30th of October, to 4th November 2004. Lying in state in the Houses of Parliament, the body is placed on the view to allow the public to pay its respect on Friday, 1st November at 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. The Governor General and government officials will view the body first from 9:30. Tributes will be offered at the Good Shepherd Catholic Church in Pitibakai that's in St. David, on Friday, November the 1st. Condolence books are available for signing at the Ministry of Legal Affairs until Monday, 4th November. The funeral mass for the late Sir Daniel Williams, GCMG KC, will be held at the Church of the Immaculate Conception in St. David on Monday, 4th November at 12:30 p.m. The cooperation of the public is highly appreciated during this time of mourning. Well, keeping that in mind, but on a more cheerful note, reminding you that Monday we're kickstarting Christmas with GBN. Every day is going to be live entertainment and it's really, really a whole lot of fun. Monday, of course, we kick it off with traditional stories and Wellness Day. And Christmas with GBN, that's from 10 until 12. And it's going to be featuring... The feature of Monday will be storytelling by Labukan Creative Center. And then on Tuesday, we unleash your creativity with what we call Craft Day in studio, of course, featuring live and pre-recorded workshops guided by local artisans, and we'll be entertaining your calls as well. Wednesday, we bring the excitement outdoors as we mix and mingle with sponsors as they share information regarding what's their plans are for the holidays. Then on Thursday, we head down to Chublu Bay Resort, and it's a chance to experience the season's best local dishes prepared by top chefs. Well, on Friday, Friday's always about last lap, and I guess that's where Kwesi and Kamran is going to come in, because they're probably going to come in and shake a leg and see what's happening. So just a few things to keep in mind. The CG United cricket continues today, and you want to make sure that you keep track of that. Tomorrow, the English Tour of the Caribbean kicks off, it bowls off, in fact, is with the first ODI. Until then, so long, everybody. Of course, it was a pleasure with having a conversation with Kamran and Kwesi. Until then, Grenada, so long. Have yourself a great one.